Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media, and I am so happy to now be bringing you Crime Crunchies. Happy Friday, everybody. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's Friday. I got my Zosha shirt on. She is solving crimes. She's around here somewhere. Hopefully she'll make an appearance, but I don't like it when she steps on my computer because I never know what's going to happen. Good evening. Good evening. I see everybody already in the chat. I am so biased, but I have to say that we have the best community of any channel. I'm sorry. I am convinced this is the best channel community of anybody. So, again, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. We are going to be talking about the ransom notes, and I do have a theory about who wrote the second one. If you're a regular, you may have heard it already, but we're going to go through it. Plus, I wanted to ask ChatGPT, my online AI boyfriend Chad, to compare the notes and writing styles and look at a potential third ransom note that Brian Enton has actually miraculously, I mean, I think it's brilliant, brought up because something, again, just doesn't smell right. Right, everybody? Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me share my screen and we are going to dig in and stay sticking around because at the end of the show, and don't let me forget, because I wanted to do this last night and I forgot, so I'm saying it ahead. Stay to the end of the show because I'm going to give away 5 free memberships because I like giving away stuff. I really, really do. And who doesn't want to be a member? Even, we're the cool kids club. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a peek. Again, if you're new to my channel, I'm very transparent. I use ChatGPT. Don't care underwear. I work a full-time job. I don't have time to do the research, but you know what? As much information as we know, as little as we know, this is as accurate as it's going to be. All right. And it saves me so much time compiling everything. All right. We've got Texas, South Carolina, Illinois. I love it. I love it. All right. So again, we're going to be kind of pulling in the third ransom note tonight. I'm going to share my theory on who could have written the second ransom note. Just as a disclaimer, again, this is all for entertainment purposes. So fun. We're going to giggle, but really, we're just theorizing and everything is just speculation. Okay. So my question to Chad was, can you break down if there is enough info from Brian Enton to possibly identify that there is a third ransom note that does not apologize? All right. Because again, he had gotten information that there was a note that did not apologize. And from what we've seen in the 2, there is a note that does apologize. So what's going on with this non-apology? Okay, really weird. So Chad says, yes, I think there is a real documentable discrepancy, and it is strong enough to argue that Brian Enton / NBC's reporting may have referred to a death message that is not identical to the apologetic second note Pima County later released. And really, let's give credit where credit is due to our girl Brianna on Crime Junkies, because she's really the one who, popped open that box. North Carolina in the house, Tennessee, love Tennessee, California, Fort Worth, Kentucky. My favorite place in the United States is Asheville, North Carolina, and the Smoky Mountains. And they're really tied. I don't have one. Oh my goodness. I cannot ever forget our beautiful mod, Lisa, Crime After Dark HQ. That's her channel. She does a really good job. Please check out her channel, Crime After Dark HQ, on the YouTube. Give her a sub, please. She's really, really a nice gal. She fits in perfectly. Also in the description, I've got her link to buy her coffee. I want her to have some caffeine. We can't have her not caffeinated. All right. So thank you, Lisa, for everything you do. We could not do this without you. All right. So he says it's not identical to the second note, but I would stop one notch short of saying it proves a separate third ransom note. I know it's not going to prove, but okay. So the released second note absolutely apologizes, and there's no getting around this. That's the whole thing. There's no getting around that this is an apology. The second note released by Pima County says, among other things, we never intended to hurt her, and concludes, we are truly sorry. That's an apology. So there is no ambiguity. The publicly released note number 2 contains an apology, but the earlier reporting said the death note did not apologize. This is the eyebrow raiser. Reuters later summarized NBC's reporting this way. The second note said Nancy had died without making an apology and did not demand payment for the return of her body, which is true. But why would they say the second note said Nancy had died without making an apology? That seems weird to me because, okay, why are they pointing out that it did not make an apology? Who's going to ever, in 1,000 years, assume a note is going to apologize? Why are they saying it didn't make an apology? What is that about? And again, the devil's in the details here, folks. The second note said Nancy had died without making an apology. So why are they saying without making an apology? If they saw it, and we've all thought, Joan sent a coffee? Hold on. I'm sorry, you guys. Shiny. Thank you, Joan. Oh, Joan, that makes me so happy. Oh, thank you, Joan. Oh, you know what? I love people getting gifts. I love it. Yay, Lisa. She does a good job. She's going to beat you up if you do something weird, okay? She will beat you up. You'd be very afraid of Lisa, but we love Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, thank you, Joan. That is so sweet. My little heart. My little heart. Okay, so again, without making an apology, how many people here have thought that there's some sort of weird cover-up? All right? And just my knee-jerk reaction is if they're specifically saying just out of the blue, oh yeah, we got this second note. Nancy's dead. They haven't demanded payment and they didn't talk about return of her body, but for sure they did not apologize. I'm just letting you guys know. They didn't apologize. Okay. So we're just leaving that there. Okay. Again, weirdness. This is just weirdness. This is the deal. When people get too talky and they start interjecting things that are asked, that's when you need to really get your magnifying glass out. When people are too talky, there's too much explanation, like in these notes are very talky. Note number 1, super talky. Note number 2, talky in a weird way that's not necessary. And then NBC saying that she died without making an apology. That's too talky. No one asked if there was an apology. No one would have thought a kidnapper/murderer, ransomer is going to apologize. Look, they suddenly got a conscience? No, this is like an evil doer. Entertainment Weekly independently described the same conflict. It reported that airmail, I don't know what that is, airmail had characterized the follow-up as offering an apology, but sources close to the investigation told NBC News that the second later indicated Nancy died and did not contain an apology. So is this saying that some people had read the letter and it had an apology, but some people are going off of sources? This is very confusing. Hey, Christy from Vermont. I want to go to Vermont in the winter and be in a sleigh with Santa Claus. All right, that's difficult to reconcile with the document Pima County eventually released. Yeah, that's like saying 2 or 3 different things. So then we have Brian Enton's additional details. Brian, aka Cutie Patootie, reported, based on a source close to the investigation, that a note said Nancy had died, that the death was unintentional, and that she was buried with nature now. Now compare that with the publicly released second note. The released note talks about Nancy's physical condition, medication, heart, pacemaker, and says she died shortly after being taken, which it also, I want to point out again the obvious that we all know that if she died shortly after being taken, which makes total sense, that she was dead before that first ransom note hit everybody on February 4th. She's taken February 1st. She's dead. She's in heaven. She's out of pain. She doesn't have terror anymore, thank God. But the note is sent on the 4th. They already know she's dead. And then the 6th, the second one comes, and they're just now announcing. All right. So here is the comparison of what the note is saying versus what Brian Enton is saying versus what it doesn't say. So detail: Nancy died. Released note number 2, yes. Enton, yes. Death unintended. Note number 2, yes, yes. Apology, yes. Reportedly, no for Enton. We are truly sorry, yes. Reporting says no apology. Money for body, reporting conflicts, I guess, on note number 2, and then reported as no payment demand. So there's, out of these, let's see, there's 1, 2, maybe 2.5. So, I mean, not a lot of difference, but this is enough of a difference in exact opposite that, is there a mystery third note? I think not. Okay. I'm going to say that there's not. But if there is, I can see law enforcement hiding it, covering it up. And the reason why I don't think it is because if there was a number 3, this would have been sent by somebody who didn't write notes 1 and 2. Okay. Because 1 and 2 somewhat sync, and they have for sure the Bitcoin wallet. Okay. The Bitcoin wallet is the same in 1 and 2. Now, if there was a 3, I could see law enforcement hiding it because they didn't want 1 and 2 released until Brianna did it. But I think that if there is a third, then it's going way off script of what the other 2 did. And maybe if there is a third, then maybe it's very, 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 very obvious that it was written by somebody not connected. Maybe it didn't have the Bitcoin wallet, and therefore they've been just treating it as like a nothing. And so it wasn't worth even repeating. But I don't know. It's just, you know what? It's just another one of those lovely little details that makes no sense. And that's just what this whole thing is. It's just nothing makes sense. And we're all along for the ride. Please hold on to the bar. Keep your hands and feet inside of the car. All right. So I've asked a couple other questions because I wanted ChatGPT to, again, really compare the writing styles, not with just note 1 and 2. I wanted Chad to compare writing styles of note number 2 to Miss Annie Guthrie's super spooky poetry that makes everybody just creep out. Okay. So I'm going to go fast forward. And again, I feel like there's a lot more information here that Chad gave me, but I feel like we've debunked the third note. I think if anything, again, law enforcement could be hiding it, or it was written by somebody completely different and went off script, or it could be sources that just screwed up a message and somebody said it didn't apologize, meaning really what it meant was they did apologize and somebody wrote it down wrong, and then they just kept with it, because we're all going off of, it's like playing a game of telephone, right? And people get things wrong. So it's going to give me, it's going to announce to me whenever new information appears on ransom notes. So I do have a monitoring on. So if there's anything else that comes out, it's going to monitor the ransom notes and it's going to automatically give me an update, which is fabulous. Okay. So this is what I asked Chad to do next. Can you do some kind of differentiation or comparison of the three potential notes? And I don't know if it's even worth going over because it's a bit, let's just start and let's just go through some of this. So if there's a third note, let's just compare the feature, which note says it, what version. So Nancy died, all three, the note number 2, Brian Enton's, and an earlier reported apology body version. It says yes. Death shortly after kidnapping, note number 2 says yes. Enton said reported as unintentional, and then an earlier reported version was apparently died. Heart issue monitored or mentioned, yes. Enton says not central to early, and then it's unclear. Buried in nature, yes. Enton says yes, and it's unclear on the third. An apology, yes, in the note. Brian Enton said no, there was no apology, and then other reports said yes, it did apologize. So, wants money. All right, this is just kind of confusing. I think we're going to just kind of skip on. It's ChatGPT is really incredible, you guys. I mean, I've gotten some people going, really, you're using ChatGPT? Yes, it does this. This is beautiful. I don't have enough time in the world to do this. Okay. I can't do that. All right. So let me get down to my next question because I really want to, again, the main thing I wanted to look at is writing styles between note 2 and the creepy poetry. So can you compare any Guthrie's published poetry and see if there are any words or writing styles that connect her to ransom note number 2? So Chad says, yes, but I would do it as a forensic linguistic comparison, not an authorship accusation. Chad, you're boring me with your technical whatever. Just do it, Chad. Just do it. Annie Guthrie is a published poet, so there is enough public material to compare vocabulary, syntax, imagery, sentence structure, and recurring concepts. But similarities in ordinary words such as nature, peace, family, or heart would be very weak by themselves. I did an initial search, and there are some interesting areas worth examining. Annie has a substantial published corpus, including The Good Dark in 2015, poems in Plowshares, University of Arizona Poetry Center recordings, and other literary publications. Start with the exact note number 2 language. The released February 6th communication reads, Guthrie family. Like before it was, hello, Sabata. Now it's Guthrie family. We, plural, did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical condition. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. And technically, that should be a semicolon, not a comma. She perished shortly after she was taken. We believe it was heart related. How would they know that? Is Porch Guy an EMT now? Did he have a stethoscope in that pocket? We thought it was a walkie-talkie. I bet it was a stethoscope. And you know why that backpack was so full? He had an EKG machine, a very soft, round EKG machine. He knew. We believe it was heart related. It wasn't me punching her in the face. That had nothing to do with it, or the fact that we crept in her room at 2 a.m. We never intended to hurt her. Au contraire, mon cher. First note, we're going to kill her in 7 days. Give me the 4 million by Friday or 6 million by Monday. We're going to kill her. But we never intended to hurt her. Even though we punched her in the face and there's blood on the front porch. And somehow we knew it was heart related. So again, just as we all discovered yesterday that Derek Kalala is very curious, more curious than us, a man with a plan, that he texted the family. So curious, that guy. He's such a knucklehead. Those crazy kids. That porch guy has a medical cardiological background. This is really cool. These people are three-dimensional. You know, I wonder if porch guy is like a Gemini, because, you know, he might like have one thing public facing, but on the inside, he's like still water runs deep. Okay, so we believe it was heart related. She is buried in nature now. Again, porch guy. This is screaming porch guy. Nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome. Nothing you could have done how about nothing you could have done would have changed the outcome. We want your family to know this and hope you all can find really, oh no, we're good. You know what? Thanks for letting us know. And we all are at peace now. And I'm not picking on Geminis. And I know you don't want to be a porch guy Gemini. I just picked that out of the air because, you know. So we want your family to know this and hope you all can find peace. Yeah, we're good. Now that we know she died quickly and it was probably heart related. Woo! Oh, woof. I am feeling so much better. Thank you. Yes, we can find peace. We're good. We're not sorry. We're truly sorry. Now, who is thinking that there's no apology in this? We're not just sorry. We are truly, truly sorry. And I want people to know that if I, you know, I'm cracking a joke here or there, it's just, again, I have no inner monologue. And I don't find this funny, but I use humor sometimes because if we don't laugh, we're going to cry. And just knowing what this woman went through is beyond horrifying. And I just cannot, whoever did this has a place in hell for sure. It's disgusting. And then sending this type of note to the family. It just, again, it does not make sense. So my theory, again, folks that are here, you guys already know this, but if you're new, my theory on why note 1 has a male energy and note number 2 has a female energy is because in that first week, after the first days, after A&T get law enforcement and Cameron comes in and Savannah comes in, everybody is just wrangled at Annie's house and they're not separated. No one is separated. They're all living together and I'm sure comforting each other. And law enforcement is in and out and the feds are starting to come in and ICACS comes in. And there's just all kinds of people, law enforcement in and out of that house. And so A&T are hearing all the conversations. They're going through all the emotions. They're hearing all of the strategy meetings about any of the videos that came out. You know that a negotiation expert most likely helped them to at least refine the Instagram videos that they put out together, even if they claim that they wrote them together. There's no way that a negotiator was not involved in that. And I don't know why Savannah said that they all did it together because we saw the camera equipment going in and some lighting. So, it wasn't a production, but they definitely brought in like camera equipment and whatnot. So we knew that they had a negotiator with experience going in and helped record the Instagram message. Now, keep in mind, while all these conversations, a million big, deep conversations, decisions being made, A&T are involved or listening in the other room, and they know exactly what's going on. They hear maybe questions that they're asking T. They could be drilling him with questions that they're maybe not asking A. They could be asking him for more specific information. They could be asking A about T. What was T doing on this night? What was T doing right here? What was T's mood? How was his mood when he left with Nancy? How was T's mood when he came back? What time did T leave? What time did T come back? Did T say he stopped anywhere after dropping Nancy off? What does T usually do? Okay. These are all the questions that are going on in the house. And if these people are involved, February 4th, the first note goes out early in the day. ICAX comes in at 5 p.m. on February 4th. 6 p.m., Derek Kalela's text comes in. I mean, they know what's going on. A and T know everything that's happening. They now know that the feds have advised Savannah not to pay the ransom without proof of life. It's not happening. Things are looking bad. And if T wrote the first note, which is very instructional, it's like staccato. It's like do, down to business. If I watched a movie on ransom and kidnapping, this is what I would put in this note, and I'm going to make it sound like I'm a real kidnapper, even though they did a really bad job. Okay, whoever wrote number one, people can look, they're like, no, this is not a no. It's just not. It's too wordy, too wordy. And then, so after number one, they could be rethinking, oh my gosh, this has gone to hell in a handbag. How do we get out of this? You know, do they need to establish that there was a death for an inheritance because the ransom isn't coming? What are we going to do now? So they're watching you, T. I don't know how you're going to get the second note written off and sent off. So guess what? A, it's on you. And A writes the note, but because A is flowery, and if you think in your mind, note number one was like capital letters, block, 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 block. Note number two is like cursive, flowy, flowy. Hi, Janice. This is the first I've heard that A, T, S, C all stayed at the same house. When was this in whose house? So the very first week, they were all in Annie's house. Everybody was in Annie's house. That first Instagram video with Cameron, Savannah in the middle, and Annie on the left was in her house. And it wasn't until probably after the first week when all the media was going back and forth, all the YouTubers and cameras, that they realized that they probably would feel better going somewhere else, that they left. Which, I mean, honestly, I can't really blame them, because anybody could blend in with anybody. So, okay. So I think A had to write the second note because T's under the microscope. T's on the hot seat. T's getting questions about him, or people are being asked about T that other questions aren't being done. So that's why I theorize that she would have had to have written the second note, and he was not able to write the second note if they are involved. Okay. Theorizing. So Reuters confirms the essential contents of that. Authorities released the two notes specifically hoping someone might recognize distinctive language patterns. And again, nobody released these. Brianna released these, and it's ridiculous that they didn't. So what interests me linguistically isn't simply nature, it's the cluster. So perished, nature, outcome, family, peace, and sorry. And particularly these constructions. She perished. She is buried with nature now. Nothing you could have done. Find peace. That's unusually contemplative language for what is ostensibly a kidnapper notifying a victim's family of her death. And again, I don't know any guy who's going to even write anything like this. I mean, Mars versus Venus, men are just different than women. And, not all. I mean, I'm not going to stereotype, but usually if this is a man writing this, it's just it's too flowy. So Annie's published writing is worth comparing because her style is unusual. So Annie isn't merely someone who occasionally writes poetry. She's professionally trained with a BA in poetry, an MFA, a published poetry collection, numerous journal publications, and years teaching creative writing. The University of Arizona also says she has taught something she calls oracular writing. Oracular writing. Her work is described as formally experimental. Some publicly archived pieces have titles or opening phrases such as seeing only distance between mouths, a history, there were rectangles everywhere, when begin to lie, the writing beside. I mean, sure. Okay, just pausing. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Those aren't evidence of anything criminal, but they give us enough stylistic material to establish a control sample of her normal writing. Nature itself isn't a smoking gun. Someone online has apparently already attempted exactly this comparison. Hindustan Times reported that a social media researcher searched Annie and Tommaso Cioni's writings for natura, and claimed to find nature in Annie's The Oracle. But there is a major problem. The version of the poem hosted by the University of Montana apparently doesn't contain that word. So I would not use that alleged match on your show as evidence. Well, Chad, don't bring it up if it's not true. Okay. You're just whatever. Actually, I'd throw it out unless we can locate the original published text. All right, keep going, Chad. Something else catches my attention more than nature. Compare note number 2. Hope you all can find peace with Annie's publicly documented writing and speaking environment. Her work appears strongly concerned with nature, bodies, loss, relationships, spirituality, mortality, and meaning. Her collection itself is called The Good Dark, and her University of Arizona reading includes sections called Body and Epilogue. But those are thematic similarities, not linguistic fingerprints. More interesting would be discovering that Annie repeatedly uses constructions such as find peace, nothing you could have done, perished rather than died, in nature rather than outside, in the desert, or buried. We want you to know that was not our intention. Those are the phrases I'd search for. There's also a fascinating grammatical feature in note number 2. Look at this. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. That's redundant. That's very redundant. Exactly. Intended and intention is the same word. Oh, yes, Chad. I missed that. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. Yes. That's potentially much more useful stylistically than nature. A forensic linguist might ask whether the writer habitually used semantic restatement, meaning expressing an idea and immediately reformulating it. Nothing you could have done could have changed the outcome. There you go. That's that same thing. There's nothing you could do. Instead, we get nothing plus could have done plus could have changed plus outcome. All right. So, Chad, give me some. All right. So, and Annie publicly uses strikingly similar grief concepts. All right. Now, this is what I'm looking for right here, guys. This deserves careful handling because the similarity is conceptual rather than proof. Yeah, but you know what? It's in the lane. And this is what I'm saying. So when Annie publicly described Nancy shortly after her disappearance, she said Nancy had passed through great trials of pain and grief, and describes her as someone who chooses joy day after day. That shows Annie naturally speaks about traumatic circumstances using concepts such as grief, pain, acceptance, emotional endurance, and finding meaning. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. We've talked about motive. Okay, motive. Again, not trying to beat a dead horse, but if we look back, Annie being older than Savannah, dad dies when Savannah's 16, daddy's little girl. Savannah is the baby. She probably got things that Annie didn't get. She is a sorority. She's tall. She's pretty. She's popular. She's going to be on TV. She's smart. She's a lawyer. And then you've got Annie, who is just kind of stuck in this. She's just kind of stuck in, like, all she talks about is dark stuff. Now, I'm a glass half full kind of gal. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm a glass half full person. I'm optimistic. I can promise you, if I am writing poetry, I'm not writing this dark stuff. I'm not writing seeing only distance between mouths. There were rectangles everywhere. I mean, maybe it's artsy fartsy, but I mean, just look at the poem. Or what was, can you tell me everything that Annie wrote on the card at the memorial? Because I mean, that's not a happy person. So tell me, what kind of person is so dark inside? Is this a happy person? So I'm a happy person. Here's the message. Mama, we miss you so much. Our hearts are broken. We are standing on ash on scorched earth. And here it is again. We've got a repeater. We're standing on ash on scorched earth. This is exactly the writing style, guys. She's repeating. It was never our intention. We did not intend this. And it needed a semicolon, and she has a comma. This is exactly it. But Mom, though we are surrounded by so much darkness and uncertainty, our love burns bright. We love you, Mommy. We miss you so much, our best friend. So here we're examining note number 2. I immediately noticed several things. Number 1, abstract emotional nouns. The card said darkness, uncertainty, love. Note number 2, condition, intention, outcome, peace. Abstract emotional nouns. Both turn emotionally circumstances into abstract concepts. So physical imagery used metaphorically. The card, we're standing on ash, scorched earth, darkness, love burns bright. Number 2, perished, buried in nature, find peace. I'm sorry, guys. How in the world is anyone supposed to think that this is not the same person? Okay, just like we did some scientific calculation yesterday on Derek Kalala, him pulling out a credit card, finding Annie and Tommaso, who nobody knew about, finding all of them correctly, finding accurate live phone numbers. Let me just run the calculations again really quick on this. Yeah, again, 0%, guys. There's 0% chance that this is a different person. Come on. In the words of the great Kathy Lee Gifford, I know what I think, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. Does anyone agree? I mean, just looking at this and looking at just this here, this is the one. she is staccato on things, but it's all very flowy. We are standing on ash on scorched earth. That's exactly the sentence structure. All right, let's keep going. There's a shared tendency toward imagistic language rather than blunt factual. Darkness versus peace. This is particularly interesting because Annie's published collection is called The Good Dark. The card says, surrounded by so much darkness and uncertainty, while note number 2 moves toward find peace. Those concepts inhabit a similar literary emotional register: darkness, uncertainty, nature, death, peace, love, light. Yes, bingo. It's like, we just, had your mother, she just died. Oh, but I hope you find peace. It's like opposites. The first part is like darkness, scorched earth, lava, Mount Vesuvius. And then the second part is like bunny rabbits, hobbits, fairies, rainbows. But that's thematic similarity, not authorship evidence. The card contains a strong rhetorical turn. The construction is terrible state, but hopeful emotional resolution. Standing on ash, scorched earth, darkness and uncertainty, but love burns bright. Note number 2 has a comparable emotional movement: serious physical condition, unintended harm, death, heart-related explanation, buried in nature. Nothing could change the outcome, but find peace. We're truly sorry. Both move from a dark event to explanation, processing to emotional closure. But here's the big caveat. I don't want a caveat, Chad. Note number 2 was dated February 6th. The memorial card was March 2nd. Therefore, we can't legitimately, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if there's a month in between them. The writing style is the writing style. The writer is the writer. And this is there's no way that one person could write note number 1, and the person who wrote note number 1 could not have written note number 2. 2 could not have written note number 1. The writer of note number 1 could not have written the memorial card. And the writer of the memorial card could not have written note number 1. But note number 2 could have written the memorial card. And guess what? The writer of the memorial card could have written note number 2. And I'm going to make a t-shirt that says all of that with bullet points. It's a good thing this is recorded, because I'm going to have to go back and write this down for a t-shirt. But it's true. And we know note number 1 and note number 2 were from at least the same group, because they have the same Bitcoin wallet. We know that 100%. And there's no way writer of note 1 is the same as writer note 2. Number 2 could not have written 1. 1 couldn't have written the memorial card. Memorial card writer could not have written note number 1. But note 2, memorial card could have written each other. Okay, the terms I'd search Annie's pre-disappearance writings aren't just for nature anymore. I'd search for this entire conceptual cluster: dark, darkness, uncertainty, ash, scorched, burn, burning. Well, we just kind of have seen that. All right, so let me go back up here. Boppy doo boo boo. Beepy dee beep beep. Okay. So I asked him to do an analysis. The next analysis I would do is even more revealing. Take every sentence in note number 2 and classify whether its primary purpose is number 1, conveying information, maintaining, or 2, maintaining the kidnapper persona, number 3, consoling the family, or 4, reducing the writer's culpability, which everybody said that's what the expert said. Note number 2 was reducing the writer's culpability of the death. My suspicion is that very little of note number 2 is actually necessary to communicate Nancy's supposed death. Most of it is doing psychological work. So yes, do the analysis. So the February 6th note is only about 70 words and was addressed to the Guthrie family. Its wording has now been confirmed by multiple sources. So my sentence by sentence breakdown, I'm using 4 categories. I is for information, tells the family something factual. K equals kidnapper persona, maintains the claim that we took Nancy. C, consolation, attempts to comfort the family. And M, mitigation, minimizes the writer's responsibility or culpability. So let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see everything. So language, Guthrie family is informational, changes audience from Savannah personally to the entire family. Again, if you were the writer of the first note, you would probably start it off exactly the same way that you did the first note. It'd be Dear Savannah. And it isn't because they didn't write the first note. So we did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical concern or condition. I is information and K is kidnapper persona. And M, mitigation, minimizes the writer's responsibility, establishes ignorance rather than intent. We never intended to hurt her is K for kidnapper persona and M for mitigation. Establishes or explicit denial of harmful intent. We never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. Again, repeats the denial. She perished shortly after she was taken. It's information and it's core factual claim. We believe it was heart related. And again, thank goodness Porch Guy had a stethoscope. She's buried in nature, blah, 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 blah. So most of this is under C, and that's consolation, attempts to comfort the family. And then M, there's for mitigation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 points that are decreasing their culpability, 6 points. And kidnapper persona is the we. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of information, but mostly it's about we. See, this is about we. And I want to point out, okay, I really want to point out that there are 2 occasions. This is all about we, us, 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 we, us, us, us. This is not about Nancy. This is about us. And let's keep in mind that video number 1 of the family has Savannah leaning forward with her body language. She's weeping. She's reading. She's begging. She is getting information across to the kidnapper. You've got Cameron just sitting there in his head, wishing he could drink or something, okay, and make this nightmare go away. And then when Savannah is done, it's almost like Annie said, hey, after you say this part, Savannah, can I say a few words? Sure, Annie. Yes, I want you to say a few words. And then what does Annie do with her moment when we're talking one-to-one with the person who took her mother, has made her mother bleed? What does Annie do? She's not asking for her mother. She's not begging. No, she reads her weird poetry. She reads her weird poetry. This moment was about Annie. You know what, guys? I know that we have to communicate with the kidnapper. We need to communicate. And I need to figure out how to get my mom back. But you know what? I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to read my weird poetry because I need you to hear my poetry. My poetry is beautiful. And it's what is up with Major Rama Jama. Rama Jama 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 Rama Jama Jing a Ling Long Ding Dong. Rama Lama Ding Dong. In the house. That's how we greet Major Rammer Jammer, everyone. And I would like you all to do the exact same thing I just did. And I'm not repeating it. You should go back and listen to it and just learn it and just do it when he comes in. Okay? Just do it. All right. So again, we've got Savannah acting appropriately. Savannah's acting appropriately. She's sharing information. She's communicating information. She's showing the proper emotion. She looks ragged. She has no makeup on. Her hair, I mean, she looks exhausted. She's bent forward. She looks like she could just throw up. She's so beside herself. And then we've got Annie, who's just stone-faced, not a little tear. I would like to read to you my poetry, which is not appropriate. But wait, there's more. You guys, I think that to mitigate this crisis, I think that we need to walk in solidarity down the driveway. We know people are talking about tea. We need to shut down the rumor mill, and we need to be in solidarity and I'm going to walk down the driveway with tea in the middle and Annie on the other side. We're going to sandwich him in like a little cookie. He is our Tommy. And I stand with Tommy, using what she calls him. I should not call him. I'm just going to call him T because that's weird. We're walking down. Let's go look at the flowers. Let's show we're all standing together as a family. Walk, 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 walk. No, we're not going to talk to the public. We know that there's 10,000 cameras out here. We're not going to make a statement. We're not going to thank anybody. We're not going to thank law enforcement. We're not going to thank volunteers. Nope. We're going right to the memorial. Walk, 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 walk. All together, hooked arms. I need to put my card down with my weird poetry. Here's my weird poetry. Here it is. Again, I need to make this moment about me and my weird poetry. Did Savannah had a flower? Savannah doesn't have a chip on her shoulder in that moment. She's like, you know what? I'm going to put a beautiful flower down for my beautiful mother. Tommy, what his response is he grabs him and he pulls him in. Looks like it's really hard. He just jerks him in. They're like jerked around because he's pulling. And then you've got Annie, and she is crying. She is sobbing. She totally is. And your heart breaks. And then she puts the weird card down with that cougar cat thing on the front, and then her weird poetry. So the two times, I don't think she said anything in the other video. But the two times when she could have taken the moment to enhance the situation, to convey important information, to get facts across in your few moments, we instead read our weird poetry. Okay. You guys get what I'm saying. It's the Weird Poetry Day. So again, when we look at this matrix, let's see how many points we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11. And the we, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 11, which is by far the most checks in this matrix, is about we. 8 out of 11 is about, it's not we, it's me, guys. This is about me. We did not grasp the seriousness. And yes, I know, Lisa, you said that you counted it, and it's like, we never intended to hurt her. That was not our intention. She is mentioned, Nancy's mentioned 1, 2, 3. Well, I mean, her, and she never uses a name. She never uses a name. It's just her or she. Okay, so suppose the writer's only purpose was telling the Guthries what happened. They need roughly 3 propositions. So Nancy died shortly after we took her. We believe she died from a heart problem. She's buried somewhere in nature. That's really all it is. Those are the 3 things that is conveyed in this note. That's it. She died. We think she died from a heart problem. And now she's buried. Yet the writer adds all of this. We didn't understand how serious her condition was. Flowy, 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 talk, talky, talky, talk, talk. We didn't intend to hurt her. Talky, talky, that wasn't our intention. Flowy, flowy, you couldn't have changed what happened. Flowy, flowy, we want you to know. Talky, talky, we hope you find peace. Flowy, flowy, we're sorry, flowy, flowy. So more than half, like 3/4 of the note was extra. We didn't fully grasp the seriousness of walking into a woman's house who lives alone at 2 a.m, who's 84, and standing over her bed and dragging her out of bed. Really? We didn't fully grasp. Did Porch Guy not fully grasp? Porch Guy. You know, there's something called emotional intelligence. And that an emotionally intelligent person would have grasped the seriousness of breaking into somebody's home, standing over their bed, grabbing them out of their bed, beating them in the face, taking them out of the home, throwing them in a car, and driving off. An intelligent person could have grasped the seriousness of that. This makes me think, for the first time, this has made me really think that Porch Guy does not have emotional intelligence. This note is telling me, it's like, wow. When I took her out and threw her in the car, I guess I didn't have my emotional intelligence hat on. These people are they're like diamonds. They're so multidimensional. Porch Guy doesn't seem multidimensional. That's why I'm surprised. I thought he was emotionally intelligent with his stethoscope in his pocket, but I'm dumb. Okay. I know that, let me see, what time is Boomer coming on? 6:30. Oh no. Okay, Boomer's coming on now. Boomer, we're trying to coordinate our times. So I will be back this weekend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about more ridiculous things that don't make sense on this edition of Things That Don't Make Sense. episode 55. Okay. I will be back this weekend. You guys need to turn on the bell. Make sure you subscribe, like, turn on the bell so you know when I'm live. And then I don't have to take the peanut butter sandwich out of your rat claws. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Friday night. Enjoy your family. Give them a hug. We're not guaranteed any time with anyone. Love them. I will catch you on the flip side. And toodaloo. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.